Hello everyone, and welcome back to the second episode of the Civ 5 Strategy Guide for Greenguy 1129 with the Brave New World expansion pack. We're going to pick up where we left off with Maria from Portugal in just a few seconds. So yeah, this is going to be exciting. Getting back into this game. See where we left off here. There's something I forgot to talk about in the last episode with benefits for Portugal. Portugal also gets a Feitoria, which is a special improvement that you can put on coastal tiles of city-states, which give you one of each of the luxuries that they own that are worked and improved by them inside of their borders. So that is quite an important part of all of that. Alright. So we are back with Portugal and Libsyn. And we are going, or Porto and Libsyn rather, whoops. So we already built our granary in this city. Now, the next step for me is usually a, caravan, but for some reason it won't let me build one. I already have a caravan somewhere? I have animal husbandry, so why can I not build a caravan? Cannot construct this trade unit because there are no available land trade routes. It says I have 0 of 1. It's quite a strange bug, but we're gonna play it out and see how it goes. Maybe it'll fix itself, maybe it won't. We'll start with a granary. Oh, I know what it is. It's a granary. So we need a granary in that city to start. Once we have the granary, we can get things going underway. So we got some barbarians we have to deal with here. And it's going alright. Time to pick our new thing. Legalism. Pretty good one. So yeah, things are going okay here. Alright. We are going to start working that silver. That way we can get the happiness off of that. And we're going to see how this goes. Now, one turn we've done the wheel. Alright, so we got the wheel, which means we can then build the watermill very soon now. Let's get this guy healed up. So, what is our next path going to be? Well, that is a very good question. I quite like, and if you watch a lot of these videos, you'll notice that I quite like the Hanging Gardens wonder in this game. It's very powerful early on for population. You know, it's like really big. It's a very important one. So it's kind of important to strive towards population. If you're going to go science victory, then population is a big part of the game. So I have that option. I have already unlocked calendar and mining. Are there any other things around my city that I need to get to? Masonry, perhaps? We could go down masonry. Masonry will allow me to go towards construction, which is also very important. So why don't we go ahead and do that? Alright, so we're going to go down construction, and that's because of the Colosseum, as well as the Composite Bowman, better unit, happiness building. Happiness building is going to be nice. We've only got 3 happiness right now, so it's not the greatest. And just to let you know, the way that the good thing about happiness is that you get so I have 3 happiness, which means I get 3 golden age points per turn, and once I get to 335, then I'm able to enter a golden age. And that number goes up each time I enter a golden age. But if I am in unhappiness, then it'll drain it, and if I'm at 0, then it won't go anywhere. So you always want to try to be happy because it's going to result in you getting golden ages, which give you more gold, they give you more culture, more tourism if you're Brazil. Overall, you get a lot of benefits from playing the game that way. Okay, so where do we want to put this 3rd city? Well, that is a pretty good question. There's definitely an area over here that I'm considering. Up here is pretty terrible. You never want to settle on tundra if you can avoid it, because tundra by itself, like these 3 tiles are, is just 1 food per tile, which is pretty bad. It's not as bad as desert, which gives you literally nothing, but desert can be made better through wonders and such. So deserts can get better. I'm going to make a 3rd settler, and like I said before in the last video, it might sound crazy, but I like to expand as quick as possible. Let's get to the areas where people want to expand first. That way they don't have those options anymore. I got the good spots, and now they got to go find the bad spots, and they got to deal with that. I'm also liking this jungle hill down here. So I don't know. Let's get the spearman out here. Let's get the settler out there, and then we will start escorting them to the next area of interest. So we're going down masonry at the moment. Mausoleum of Halicarnassus is not going to be all that helpful. The mason, the quarry will be helpful, and I don't think that we can use the remove marsh at all at the moment. All right. So just checking up on this. This should be on production. Focus. So that was a whoopsie, and then that should be there. All right. Alright, so, go up onto this hill. Won't see any barbarians yet. Now, we did meet Rome in our last episode, which is a bit worrying. Rome can be a little dangerous. They tend to be very hostile early on in the game, because they have, like I said before, they've got a couple of early game units that are good for fighting against other people's military and also attacking other people's cities. They have a special unit called the Ballista, which is a better version of the catapult, I believe, and it does some immense amount of damage in the long run. So what I think I might do here is step across this river. I don't know. I'm thinking about settling here, honestly. It's not on the river, but it's safer. It does have bananas next to it, and I think that will be the best call. I do want to settle on a hill for most of these cities. Not only because I get the extra production bonus, but I do also get a defense bonus, which I don't think I talked about in the last video either. If I'm up on this hill, I get a major defense bonus against things like the Romans, so if I'm going to settle a city there, it might as well be on a hill. I also did get the cocoa in range. We're going to go ahead and build a granary in this city, put our city on production focus, and lock the tile we want to work. Okay, so, here we go. Getting into everything. We've got a couple barbarians roaming around. It's a little bit worrying, but I'm not too worried about it. I think we'll be all right. Just start settling the spearmen. No, sending the spearmen back towards the capital now. I think I'm going to get pillaged here in a second, which is not going to be the most fun thing in the world. Now, by the way, Landed Elite is the next one you're going to want to get. It gives you a plus 10% growth rate and plus 2 food in the capital. That's going to be huge for growth in your capital and science in your capital at this point in the game. So I strongly recommend moving in that direction. Now, next we need a caravan. A lot of people use caravans for trading for gold and science through other civilizations, or trading just gold with city-states. City-states are okay, but when you're playing in a multiplayer game, you got to think that when you're sending things, or you're trading things, you're trading things. You're trading, which means that you are giving away things to other people. Meaning, like, you could be giving away a science or something like that. It's a piece of science, like a physical beaker, like 2 science per turn or something. It could be pretty bad, and it could be literally what changes the game. So most of the time, until I run out of places to send trade routes, I will not send a trade route directly to another civilization. Most of the time, what I will do, and what I like to do, is I often choose to do what I'm going to show you in just a second, and that is to send a caravan from one city to my capital. And what I do most of the time is I will get 2 or 3 trade routes, depending on how many cities I have. In this case, I'm going to have 4, so I need 3 trade routes. At least I think I'll have 4. And I will send food from these cities into the capital, making the capital even bigger than it already was. And this is, like, super beneficial to your science in the later game. Population is a huge part of like science thinking. science base in the first place. So it is really important to make sure that you do or have a lot of focus on whatever victory you're looking to go towards. So in this case, it would be science. Now, unfortunately, I've had some really bad barbarian problems, but I'm hoping within just a few turns here, I can probably get rid of quite a lot of it. So basically what has happened to me over the course of this is you'll notice that these things are burning. So for people who don't already know, barbarians will do something called pillage, and this is an option that everyone has, not only barbarians. And they will basically destroy that improvement. So right now I'm actually unhappy because they pillaged my silk. So it's like burning silk. I don't have silk anymore. Uh-oh, we're in trouble. But do not panic if you go unhappy. Like I said, it does drain Golden Age points, which is a bit of a shame. But I'll survive even with it that way. It'll be okay. It's not the end of the world. It's not impossible to fix either. I do have a cocoa down here that I need to work, and the truffles up here, and eventually an incense up here. So things are going okay. So Porto grew. I'm going to put him on the food now. That's my second part of the strategy for putting down my second and third cities. You want to put the first one on production, and then the second one on food, because you want them to grow once you've got a little bit of production building in that city. Now, finally, we're going to build this water mill, which is going to be quite key. And I believe in the later game it allows us to build an even more advanced building, but I'll explain that when that time comes. I'm not going to explain it right now. There's not much point. Alright, so I got into construction. We need to, as quickly as we possibly can, get down to the silk over there. Now, what do we want to go towards next? Well, this is an interesting question. We don't have any more tiles to really work around the city anymore. I want to beeline towards education. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll click on education and I will see what I need to research to get to education. So because my last city might have a special wonder in it called the Petra, and it's in currency, I'm just going to move towards currency since I have to have those texts anyway. Why don't we just go ahead and start there. And I'll explain what the Petra is when we get to the Petra, but for the moment, it's not too important for you to know what it is. It's a really cool wonder. You're going to love the Petra if you ever do get it in a game, and I'll explain why in a few minutes here. Alright, so we need to get on that silk. We're going to improve the silk, we'll repair the silk, I'm sorry, and then we'll repair the farm. Yeah, the only downside of this is it does take a couple of turns to repair things when they're pillaged. So, keep an eye out for that, I suppose. So, I don't know what that's going to give me, but I do know that if you expand borders around an ancient ruin, then you get the ancient ruin. But I am going to settle right now. 13 culture, not bad, not bad. Coimbra. So, I don't have a lot of food in this city, but that's okay. I can be a producing city here. Put it on production focus, and we will choose a granary, just the same as the rest. And we'll hit next turn. So luckily, because I put the city here actually, the barbarians cannot go past at all. They are permanently stuck on that side, and I will have to deal with them at some point, but as of for right now, it should be okay. So for those of you who are experienced players, okay, most people by now would have built a second worker. This is quite a common thing for people to do. They'll build a second worker and be like, hey, I tend not to build a second worker for quite some time, and the reason for that is because I'd rather have a lot of the buildings around than the tiles being improved. It's just something that I'd rather have. Monarchy's next. So I'd rather have the Colosseum than a worker, because the Colosseum's going to give me happiness, and I'm already unhappy as it is. I don't need to be any more unhappy. I have enough unhappiness problems as it is, and making them worse would not be a fun job. So what I tend to do is I tend to wait until I got a lot of gold, and at the moment I don't. But at one point I might actually get to having a decent supply of gold, and then that's what I would do. I would buy a worker. So for those of you who don't know, this is the trade route, this is the caravan. There's also a cargo ship that you can send, but you have to be on the coast for that, and I'm not. I only have one city on the coast. So that is a little bad for Portugal, but it'll be okay. So as you can see, I can send 4 food to Libsyn or 4 food to Braga. Braga is not my capital, but Libsyn is, so I'm going to send it to Libsyn. This caravan's going to go back and forth for like 10 to 20 turns. I don't really know how long it actually is. And during that time, I'm going to get extra food in this city, so it's going to grow a little bit quicker. Then it'll stop, it'll end up back over here, and it'll say, where do you want me to go next? And I can either keep sending it to Libsyn, or I can go somewhere else with it. Most of the time, I will just send constant food to the capital, and that's it. That's pretty much the way it goes. That tends to be the way that I like to play that part of the game. So, there you go. Porto demands citrus. I'll have to keep an eye out for citrus then. See if I can't get some off someone. So there's Rome's borders that I can see over there, which is a little scary. But Porto is a good city. And once I get the production built up in all these places and everything else gets moving, we'll probably be okay. But for the moment, things are a little bit iffy and scary, and I kind of need gold, and it's not looking the greatest at the moment, but this is the way that most Civ games start, and then the result ends up being, hey, it paid off, you know, we did okay at the end. Gambling in the beginning of the game is usually pretty safe. In single player, it's not as safe because people are a little bit more stupid in a way that they'll walk up and be like, hey, let's declare war and end the game for both of us. But in a multiplayer game, you tend to be really safe when doing that. So it's not too big of a deal. I got Stoneworks. Stoneworks is a cool building. You get +1 happiness, +1 production. It is a fairly good building. You can only get it if you have a stone or a marble. So that is a pretty beneficial building for me. I'm going to get Colosseums in any city that I can. Let's jump down to here. Braga got another growth spurt. There's some serious barbarians down there. Holy cow. Alright, so we need production in a city. We'll go with another one of those. Now, once we've got currency in a couple of turns, some of these will probably get switched, maybe? I don't know, we'll see. Some of them tend to get switched to markets, and then, I don't know. Have to wait and see how it goes. Boom. So, here we go. So they want me to accept an embassy. So, this is the first diplomatic deal I've done. So, for those of you who have never seen this before, you have a bunch of different options of things that you can trade throughout the game, and all kinds of cool things that you can do. Research agreements, defensive packs, open borders, World Congress votes, strategic resources, luxury resources, gold, and cities. So it can get really interesting with the trades that you can do. But this guy just wants to give me a gold per turn for an embassy, and basically the embassy means that he can see my capital, see where it is, I mean. And it also unlocks things like a research agreement and such, as well as declaration of friendship. So I'm going to go ahead and accept this deal, and make friends with the Romans instead of making enemies with them. So I've gotten to this point in the game where I have to make a decision as to whether I need happiness a lot or if I don't need happiness a lot. So I think that Coimbra, whatever you want to call it, can go to market instead at the moment, and then we can go for something else. So what else do we want? Well, we ideally want to get to philosophy quite soon. So we're going to get writing, and we're going to get philosophy, we're going to start getting science. science usually would happen a bit earlier if I was going to go full out science, pick someone like Babylon or Korea to play science in. But because I've not done that, I've held off for just a little bit to try to get my production up a little bit before I start to go nuts with science everywhere and cool things happening. Alright, so my guy's going to get a little upgrade. He's going to get the Scouting 2. And now I can see Lake Victoria. So I'm going to move him back into the city. He'll heal up there slowly but surely. Do that. Alright. Porto. Got a little upgrade in size. Kurtzel has completed its project. Amount of influence gained from gold gifts returns to normal. Okay. So we have a mint and we have a market. I think for this city it's probably going to be more beneficial to get a market first. The mint does give me bonuses on silver tiles, which will be nice later in the game. Silver and gold are like really nice tiles, and I've got quite a lot of them. So it's going to be nice to have like a building that some people might not get throughout their entire game that don't have a silver or gold tile. I also have a stone, which makes it even better, because that means I get the stoneworks as well. So we're going to improve some of these horses, I think. Which, you'll notice that at the top, when I researched what I need for horses, it then gave me a horse counter, basically. So right now I have 0 horses, but once I pen those guys in, we will have horses. So that should change things up a little bit in the way of stuff going on. So hopefully that's a little bit better. Braga. Just gonna get more food. I don't have much else for Braga to do at the moment. Libsyn's grown to size 7. So this is another interesting fact for those Civ players out there. Once you hit 5 pop, it stops giving you notifications for when your city grows. That is something I very much dislike about this game. Because I find that a lot of the time I'll be playing around, I'll be doing, hey, you know, come down here to the city, hey, come, but I would forget about the capital, and sometimes the capital will start to struggle a little bit because I forgot that the capital doesn't tell me anymore. And eventually no city will, with time. So that's quite an interesting part of this entire thing. So we're going to move that guy onto the horses over there, get some food going in that city. We'll get you defending again. So we got a nice foundation here, and that is a big thing for this overall. A library, and we'll move down here to these horses, and we'll get some more horses. So now I got 4 horses that you can see. Horses are used to make units, and so you can only have so many units at a time, depending on how many horses you've got. So if I have 8 horses, then I can only have 8 horsemen, or 8 knights, or 8 chariot archers. I can only have as many horse-requiring units as I do horses. So that is quite an important thing, and you'll find that in most games that I like to play, where I like to go somewhat naval strategy. Wise, then iron becomes a big role in the game, and it still might. I'm not ruling it out. It just yeah. So I got philosophy, which opens up the National College, temples, and the Oracle. That's a really nice science. So let's go back and look at education again. So we need to look and see what else do we need to unlock to get where we need to go. We need to get to civil service, which is trapping, horseback riding, drama and poetry, and then civil service. So we're going to let that tick its way around, and eventually it will give us a civil service science tech. So, we're to size 8 now. Growing quite nicely, Okay. And now we're going to go to start building the hanging gardens. So I think this is probably a good place to stop for today, everyone. We got our 4 cities put down. We're starting the core. We're getting our first wonder built up, the hanging gardens. And as you can see, this brilliant civilization of Portugal is growing quite well. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe below if you haven't already done so. And I will see you guys next time.